Hey, stop everything right now and picture this. A shooting star ripping through the night sky of a forgotten planet, not as a sign from the gods, but as the harbinger of an interstellar nightmare. A simple village, carved into a world of eternal mist, about to be wiped out by something straight from the universe's edge. Stick with me till the end, because Aru Kael's story, the last guardian of VorrKash, will leave you breathless and questioning if metal and flesh monsters really exist beyond the stars. When the firmament shattered over KaerDuun, the whole world seemed to hold its breath. What started as distant light ended in a catastrophe that would mark Thalnari history forever. Before the impact, something had already changed. The elders described winds howling in dissonant notes, as if the planet itself tried to warn its children. In VorrKash village, the shamans felt an anomalous vibration in the Jade River waters, a cold, intermittent pulse rising through the stones, making tribal symbols glow in bluish tones. Bonfires flickered without wind, and animals retreated into unnatural silence. Aru Kael was hunting at the territory's edge when he saw an impossible phenomenon, 3 moons casting shadows in opposite directions. "The veil is opening," murmured old Tkor upon seeing them. For the Thalnari, this heralded a breach between worlds, a portent of something coming from the beyond cold, where time doesn't obey ancient gods. That night, Aru felt a premonition he could never explain, being watched by something far beyond flesh and spirit. It was during the 3rd watch of the night that the sound came, a lacerating thunder unlike storm or eruption. The sky cracked open like glass under pressure. An incandescent line sliced the darkness, spiraling down and dragging a roar like thousands of voices in despair. Hunters, warriors, and children rushed from huts, eyes fixed on that star burning the atmosphere and spitting molten metal fragments. When it hit the surface, the explosion shook the soil across the entire region. Mountains trembled, rivers rose in emerald vapor, and a sonic wave toppled half the village structures. Fire danced over the mineral forest for hours, but it didn't burn like common fire. Its flames had a bluish hue and smelled of electric iron. No Thalnari had ever seen anything like it. Aru rose amid the debris and saw the distant glow inside the crater, pulsing like a colossal heart. "This isn't a star," he said. "This is something that bleeds." The next dawn, mist covered the valley, but the distant impact glow still pierced the hills like a spectral beacon. Neighboring tribes sent messengers, saying they felt tremors even in the northern plateaus. The Thalnari called that event Kaer'Duun, the star that fell alive. While elders debated whether to worship or fear the phenomenon, Aru made his decision. He gathered Tormak, Lyra, and Tkor, the most experienced hunters, and prepared their obsidian spears with burning root oil, used only for spirit hunts. At the foot of Echo Hill, the wind carried a strange murmur, almost human. No one knew, but the crashed ship's core energy had awakened telepathic echoes whispering through KaerDuun's magnetic field. Children began crying without reason. Bonfires extinguished themselves. Waters reflected distorted images, fragments of memories belonging to no one there. When Aru and the hunters crossed the mineral forest border, they knew they couldn't return unchanged. The village's fate was already sealed, and the sky, once shattered, would never be the same again. Chapter 2: The Ghost Ship. The crater yawned before them like the wound of a slain god. The air there was colder, thicker, and every breath seemed to force something invisible to shift between their lungs. The blackened ground pulsed, still hot, like living flesh. At the center, half buried under layers of blue smoke, the ship rested. A black colossus. An impossibly massive monolith, twisted, exhaling metallic sounds that mimicked an erratic heartbeat. Aru stood frozen at the slope's edge, wind howling across his face. "This isn't a fallen star," he murmured. "It was something that breathed." The labyrinth of living metal. They crossed the debris field amid toxic vapors and energy cracks. Each step made the ground react with pulsing lights, as if the planet tried to reject the intruder. Surrounding plants already wilted, contaminated by unknown radiation. Birds, the Miramar, divine messengers in Thalnari tradition, lay dead in circles, feathers sparking blue. When they reached the main fuselage, A scorched hatch opened with a mechanical sigh, releasing cold, thick vapor. Inside, silence was absolute. No wind, no sound, no echo. Pure void. The corridors were smooth, metallic, damp. But under torchlight, an oily sheen seemed to move beneath the surface, tracking them as if the metal itself had eyes. "This is alive?" Lyra the archer asked, voice trembling. Tor the elder closed his eyes. Not life, something worse. Consciousness without soul. They found the first corpse near a command chamber. A tall being, dark gray skin, faceted eyes. Frozen expression, pure terror. Clean cuts in the golden exoskeleton, molecular precision. This was from inside out, Aru concluded, wiping sweat from his brow. But they were wrong. It was both. The guardians of the fourth sphere. When the ship's sensors detected movement, lights flashed in almost hypnotic sequence. A low sound like breathing filled the corridors, as if the structure came alive. Suddenly, figures emerged from shadows. 5 ragged, wounded Zorathian survivors, yet still majestically imposing. The captain, Rentor Vel, wore half-golden armor, burns covering one side of his alien face. His voice, magically translated by Tkor's totem, sounded mechanical but carried human desperation. "We lost it." The inner dark beast escaped. Aru stared, uncomprehending, until Rentor pointed to the nearby broken cylinder. A cell split in half, interior covered in embedded claws and acid marks. Inside, the floor still burned. It devoured everything trying to contain it. Metal, flesh, energy, added scientist Elwes, hands trembling. VorrKash, that's its name. War creation. Nothing survives it long. Created and lost control. Aru said softly, his tone already laced with revulsion and something more, fear. For a moment, silence. A distinct sound echoed from the ventilation duct above, not the ship's metallic noise, but something organic, rhythmic, wet. Tormak raised the alien weapon and aimed. Only silence answered. T for long. The first sign of terror. Hours later, as Zorathians tried restarting the central system, Engineer Krell vanished. Echoes of prior battle lingered, fear hung thick. Shooter Drac followed blood marks down the corridor. Lights flickered unevenly, as if something interfered with the circuit. In the containment chamber center, they found Krell, or what remained. Hung upside down from ceiling pipes, body completely drained, not a drop of blood. Face frozen in final scream. Skin showed microscopically symmetrical cuts, too perfect for beast work, too intelligent for man-made. ISS assessed the scene, hands shaking. It took neural tissue. It learns from what it eats. Rentor slammed his weapon against the wall. "We won't let this hell spread. Either we kill it or KaerDuun dies with us." Aru outside felt the ground pulse. Nearby trees bent trunks as if something moved beneath. "Then it's already out," he murmured. "And it's hunting." That same night, as the village slept in apprehension, a child was snatched from shadows. Screams echoed to the sky. When they found the body at dawn, skin was transparent, like cold glass. Shamans said evil didn't come from sky, but reflection it brought. Aru knew the creature had learned the terrain. And now, Baal was marked for death. Chapter 3: The Hunter's Awakening. While the ship's fire burned in the distance and the elders prepared protection rituals, night fell heavy over KaerDuun. The mist grew thicker, the air denser. It was as if the planet breathed slowly, trying to hide from something walking across its surface. The mineral jungle, once alive with sounds, fell silent. Even the wind stopped. Aru Kael didn't sleep that night. Standing before the village ruins, he watched the pulsing horizon, the bluish, intermittent glow of the dead star, reflected in the green rivers. Something inside him whispered, a sensation he'd never experienced, being watched, but not by human eyes. Movement in the mist. Near midnight, the valley dogs began growling in unison. White eyes gleamed in the darkness, staring at something no one could see. Suddenly, a distant scream. Aru grabbed his spear and ran through the destroyed houses. He found tracks on the ground, long footprints fused to the soil, as if something incandescent had walked there. Ahead, mist and a trail of blood evaporating slowly under the dew. Lyra appeared, Archer tense, breathless. Oh, it wasn't a beast. It was shadow. A shadow that breathed. He stared at the forest and saw green flashes darting between the trees. Something immense, moving in absolute silence. A low sound, metallic and organic, echoed, like the distant rumble of a satisfied predator. And then silence. Total silence. Not even the insects dare to exist. Echoes of horror. At dawn, they found 3 bodies hanging from crystal trees. The dead hunters were stripped and positioned in symmetrical patterns, as if the killers studied their anatomy. Tkor, the elder, knelt and recognized the runes marked in blood on the trunks, symbols of a civilization dead for eons. These signs aren't hers, he said. They're from those who created her. Meanwhile, aboard the ship, Rentor performed hasty autopsies on his own men's bodies, those killed inside the structure. The cameras had recorded something before dying completely: tall silhouette for limbs, elongated claws, eyes reflecting different light frequencies for each target type. Cold intelligence. OSS, the scientist, noticed another terrifying detail. The creature didn't just absorb human and alien DNA, but also the planet's minerals and energy. KaerDuun was now its ecosystem, and every death accelerated its symbiosis with the environment. In panic, the remaining crew gripped rifles and thermal sensors. One by one, the devices began failing. The magnetic field is distorted, OISS said. No, Rentor corrected, voice tense. It's learning to hide. From our eyes. The first confrontation. On the 3rd night, the wind brought something impossible, human voices echoing from the forest. It was Elder Tkor's own voice, though he stood beside Aru, sleeping. The voices called names, mimicking village children's laughter. Evil wants you to come to it, Tkor warned, gripping the hunter's arm. But Aru was curious by nature, the kind of man who never fled the inexplicable. He followed the sound to the forest edge, where trees became carbonized crystal towers. Temperature dropped abruptly. From the mist's heart, a deformed figure emerged. From afar, it seemed human, perhaps one of the missing victims. Up close it wasn't. Skin like liquid obsidian, arms that stretched, deep eyes, like black holes reflecting the soul of whoever looked into them. For a second, time stopped. Aru felt no fear. He felt pure instinct, the kind that precedes fight or death. He brandished his spear and backed away slowly, heart beating to the rhythm of the sacred drum. The creature simply watched him, as if measuring his courage. Then it produced a guttural sound, a near-perfect imitation of Lyra's voice saying, "Run, Aru." In the next second, it leaped. Trees exploded around with the impact. Aru rolled on the ground, pierced by crystal shards, body covered in cuts. The beast vanished into the mist before he could retaliate. But rising, he saw on the nearby trunk a symbol drawn in his own blood, the Thalnari spiral, sign of declared hunt. The VorrKash had chosen its prey, and Aru Kael was now the primary target. The psychological horror is born here. The enemy isn't just a beast, it's an intelligent predator that hunts with strategy and irony. Aru understands, for the first time, he's not facing a beast, but something that comprehends every emotion of his, and turns it into a weapon. Chapter 4: The First Hunt. The forest was dead. No wind, no insects, no bird song. A silence so complete it hurt the ears, the kind of silence that precedes ancient tragedies. With every breath, Aru felt the dense, metallic air, smelling of burned iron and fierce sweat. Between crystal trunks, electric insect hums echoed, but stopped when the Zarathian's plasma floodlights swept by. The group advanced slowly, Rentor in front, wielding a pulse cannon, beside LWSS monitoring thermal signals on her holographic visor. Behind, Aru and Lyra, spears ready, tribal senses sharpened. Tkor had stayed in the village, preparing protection rituals. Aru, at the rear, knew they were useless. In the jungle's J.W.S. The mineral forest, bathed in biotic light, seemed beautiful, but that night, the glow turned sinister. The stones pulsed in an irregular heartbeat, as if the planet warned, "Get out." LYSS stopped abruptly. Something's moving, but too fast for the tracker to identify. Rentor raised his arm, signaling silence. Aru smelled it first, hot blood mixed with ozone, followed by the faint creak of bending metal. The ground vibrated under their feet. "Not wind," he whispered. Then the noise, a sharp crack, something massive passing overhead through the glowing canopy. Lyra raised her bow, muscles tense. "It's circling us." Rentor activated infrared visors. Nothing. OSS adjusted the spectrum, saw a heat blot dissipating, diffuse, formless. It was like trying to see a ghost's warmth. And then screams. Shooter Drac, too far ahead, was yanked from the ground and slammed against a crystal tree. The impact shattered bones, blood dripping in slow, almost rhythmic patters. Rentor fired a plasma beam. Nothing. The light ray pierced the mist and hit only shadows. A douse in blood. Aru knew the sound of a hunt. But this wasn't hunting. It was method. The creature was toying with them. In seconds, they felt the shift. The VorrKash now mimicked the team's noises, footsteps, voices, weapon clicks. Each echo confused them more. Lyra aimed her bow at a humanoid silhouette to the right. "It's Drac." But Drac was dead. When she fired, the creature lunged from darkness, moving at unnatural speed. Its body shifted, respiratory membranes became blades, face stretched into soulless gaze. Lyra screamed as it struck her abdomen, the piercing sound echoing through the forest. Aru tried pulling her back, but the VorrKash had vanished, dragging her body away. For remained. From then on, fear took human form. Rentor trembled, thus wept silently, and Aru felt something different. A heat rising through his body, as if the planet screamed inside him. He began understanding the creature didn't just attack physically, it invaded the mind. Suddenly, everything stopped. Winds died. And the sound that followed didn't come from the beast, but from the forest itself. Aru's own voice perfectly imitated, from all sides, saying, "Come, brothers. The hunt is over." Rentor reacted on instinct, firing the cannon. 3 trees exploded, energy shocks illuminating dancing shadows. But nothing was there. The voice now spoke inside. Their heads. The blue inferno. OSS lost her reason. She smashed the visor on the ground, breathing raggedly. "It's testing us," she screamed. "It wants to know how we react to fear." Rentor grabbed her shoulders. "Fall back, scientist. Stay behind the hunter. He knows the terrain." Aru barely heard. His eyes lost focus. He saw the past, his village, his father dead on an ancient hunt, the oath to protect the valley at any cost. But now, he wasn't protecting anything. He was leading them all to the abyss. A brutal crack shook the ground. The VorrKash materialized like solid mist, colossus of metallic bones covered in pulsing flesh. Translucent claws reflected floodlight in deadly spectra. It roared a sound that wasn't sound. It was pressure, vibrating the living's bones. Alice tried running, but the predator was already upon her. One strike. Silence. And LSS's body split in two, devoured instantly, leaving only the echo of scorched veins. Rentor roared, unleashing continuous plasma bursts. Shots ricocheted. The creature absorbed energy. Amid destruction, Aru ran, rolling under roots, dodging blows cracking the earth. He collided with Tormak's body, eyes wide open, impaled in a trunk, dead minutes before. The entire forest now burned, blue flames rising like spiritual dancers. Aru screamed, more to himself than the enemy. "If you're gonna hunt me, come get me." The VorrKash responded with a slow, almost respectful movement before retreating to darkness. It left him alive. But in Aru's M.D., something echoed, like laughter. Hours later, Aru emerged from the valley, covered in soot and dried blood. Morning mist hid the bodies, wreckage, and horror. Rentor still breathed, wounded, half-conscious. When he opened his eyes, he fixed on the hunter and said, "It didn't kill you because it chose you. It wants To compete with you. Aru stared at the horizon, where the ship's bluish glow still pulsed. In that instant, something broke inside him. The human part that feared being prey died there. What remained was the predator. And for the first time, KaerDuun's ancient spirit, the same that shaped Thalnari hunters for generations, awoke in his flesh. If the beast came from the stars to destroy my world, then let the stars watch it die by my hands. The sky witnessed the vow. In that moment, Aru Kael became not just the valley's guardian, but the hunter of gods. Chapter 5, Silence in Vartal. The mist had never been so thick. It felt like the planet was trying to hide its own shame, as if KaerDuun, the living world, wept for the valley it had lost. The village, once a mosaic of sounds and chants, stood deserted. Extinguished bonfires looked like graves. Only the wind's echo cut through the broken huts, and in each one, the smell of death mingled with burnt iron and ancient tears. Aru Kael walked alone among the wreckage, dragging his broken spear, eyes hollow. Lyra's body had been destroyed, children torn from mother's arms, warriors turned to ash. Names and faces vanished amid the silence dominating the valley. And in that silence, something called to him, a distant echo from the forest, in the creature's own voice. Come finish the song. The weight of G. Lyra's body was found at the Jade River's edge, rigid, bloodless, eyeless. Tor, the last living elder, led the funeral. Smoke from the pyres rose to the sky, mingling with the distant ship's bluish mist. But as the flames danced, the elder looked at Aru differently, not with pride, but with fear. There's something inside you now, son of the valley. The creature left a mark where eyes can't see. Aru remained silent. When he raised his hand, he noticed his finger's skin taking on a faint, almost metallic glow, the reflection of the same bioluminescent blue coming from the crater. When he touched the earth, it responded, it vibrated. The planet reacted to him. The older Thalnari said that when a man carries too much death, the earth's spirit questions him. Are you still a son of life, or servant of the abyss? The doubt grew in him like silent poisoning. The voice in the nebula. That night, exhausted and feverish, Aru heard a hum coming from inside his head. At first, he thought it was the wind, but the words had rhythm, breath, and intent. You feel me, or the planet chose you, but I understand you. The VorrKash's voice. Not from the air, but inside his mind. And with every word, the creature's memories pierced his visions. Flashes of war, worlds being consumed, screams of civilizations vanishing under starfire. Aru began realizing something monstrously unsettling. The creature wasn't purely evil. It was created. Forged to kill, used, abandoned. Perhaps the true monster wasn't the VorrKash, but whoever brought it there. Rentor and the Zorathians. The same ones now regrouping near the ship, rebuilding their weapons, planning something Aru didn't yet understand. The spiritual rift. With his body weakened, Aru sought the Temple of Echoes, the sacred cave linking mortal flesh to the planet's voice. There, before ancient crystals, he knelt, begging answers. The rocks pulsed slowly. An energy, warm, alive, almost familiar, enveloped his body. The floor runes ignited, trembling with ancestral force. For an instant, he saw his own reflection, but the eyes were the creature's. KaerDuun's spirit voice echoed from the depths. Strength and ruin share the same root. If you touch the earth's power, you also touch the abyss. Free the world, or become part of it. When he awoke, the ground around him was scorched in circles, as if struck by inward lightning. His body, different. Skin carried luminescent traces, veins pulsed in cold, translucent tones. Aru didn't know if he'd received a gift or a CU. RC. The breath of doubts. At dawn, he walked through the fog. Now he could feel the creature's steps beneath the soil, the echo of its claws scraping the planet's minerals, the exact scent of approaching death. But he also felt something more, the survivor's fear, the Zorathian's hatred, and a new sensation, the thrill of the hunt. For a moment, the boundary between him and the VorrKash dissolved. And for the first time, Aru felt the urge to run, not to protect himself, but to pursue. Perhaps the planet spirit was transforming him into a predator. Or perhaps the monster left something more inside him. A fragment of its essence, a venom replacing compassion with instinct. From afar, Rentor watched the scene, wounded, leaning on a rock. He whispered to SS, the last surviving technician. The human is changing. If he continues, we won't know who's hunting. In whom? The thread of destiny. As the camera, or narrative voice, pulls back, leaving KaerDuun shrouded in blue mist, an unbearable question hangs over the audience. Is Aru Kael still the village protector, or the herald of even greater destruction? Is the power the planet granted him a blessing, or the first step toward becoming the next VorrKash? In the cracked mirror of one of the destroyed huts, we see his reflection, part human, part something new. Deep breath. Mist trembling around him, responding to his pulse. And in the shadows, eyes identical to the monsters watching him, as if they now shared the same heart. The silence in Vartal was just the breath between two hunts. The next will be even bloodier.